So welcome everybody to this farewell event for our great president, Susan. And I'd like to start by introducing myself. I'm Andrew Agwinobi, the CEO and Executive Vice President of Health Affairs for UConn Health. Again, welcome. We have a number of speakers today, all of whom I'm going to introduce at one point. But I'd like to start by introducing a very important person here at UConn Health, the chair of our board of directors, Mr. Sandy Cloud, who I've had the honor to work with over the last almost 5 years. So go ahead, Sandy. Over to you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, well, thank you, Andrew. Our honored guests, state senators and representatives, are members of the board of directors, and I know there's a trustee or two besides myself who are also here, and members of the UConn Health family. I'm delighted to be here today to celebrate the presidency of Susan Herbst. Over the past 8 years, I've had the opportunity to work with and come to know Susan, and what a pleasure it has been. In many ways, I believe President Herbst embodies what it means to be a transformational leader. And when she saw opportunities for growth, for greater success, for achievement, she never hesitated to seize them. When she saw a problem that needed fixing, she attacked it. And oh, by the way, if you were in her way, you better watch out. For her, there was never any time like the present. And what I admire most about Susan is her fearlessness in decision-making after reflecting regarding an issue. She never shied away from taking on enormous challenges when it came to doing what was right and in the best interest of UConn and UConn Health with high integrity, especially our faculty, staff, students, and patients. In fact, she actually seemed to enjoy taking on the most difficult challenges in her set of responsibilities. Susan is driven, determined, and bold because she believes deeply in UConn and its mission. When Governor Malloy wanted to bring Jackson Labs to Connecticut, Susan was there to help make the pitch that made this partnership a reality. When Bioscience Connecticut was introduced, Susan did everything that she could to assure it would be successful. While the phrase "One UConn" has been around for many years, it was Susan and her administration who actually got the wheels turning to make it a reality. Her hiring of Dr. Andy Agwinobi and her steadfast support for him has been greatly appreciated by the UConn Health Center team and has made a tremendous difference here at UConn Health. what a wonderful pleasure you have been in advancing the vision and mission of UConn Health. Susan has led the university for 8 long years, and I want to say that you have in fact been a transformational leader, not only at our beloved university, but you've also been what I would describe as a woman for all seasons. I have enjoyed working with you immensely. It has been an honor and pleasure for me to come to know you, dear friend and colleague. And we wish you the very best as you return to your scholarly pursuits. And as you transition, Susan, know that you have made an incredible difference in our beloved university, and on behalf of the UConn Health and the Board of Directors, I want to say thank you for your distinguished service to the University of Connecticut.
Thank you so much, Sandy. And for those of you who know Susan, she doesn't like flattery. So you just, you're going to have to, bear with us for a little while. But thank you. This is an absolutely amazing academic institution, thanks to many individuals here, and thanks to the state of Connecticut and many others, and the governor. So I want to make sure that we give a chance to the leaders of our School of Medicine and our School of Dental Medicine, so they can come up and say a few words, because they're so important for the success of UConn Health. And they're also so thankful to Susan for the great work that she's done here and the support. So I'd like to ask, start with maybe the Dean of the School of Medicine, Dr. Liang. Do you want to come up and say a few words? Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, President Herbst, Dr. Andy, members of the General Assembly, and everyone here at UConn Health, and board chair and members of the board of UConn Health. It is really my pleasure and privilege to say thank you to Susan on behalf of the School of Medicine. It is fair to say that I grew up and honed in my administrative skill set as dean, learning from Susan. Even though I did not report directly to the president, I constantly observed Susan's management and handling of difficult matters in all areas that touch the lives of us here at the university and at UConn. Occasionally, I had the benefit to talk with and learn directly from her. I always knew where I stand and was guided by what I can do to advance the medical school. There's always the truth that lies in front and not fake news from behind. When facing difficult situation, I asked myself what Susan Herbst would do. Susan always has a deep and genuine interest in how we do as managers as well as faculty members. She does not micromanage, and yet somehow she knew very specific details on the ground. I often wonder how Susan figures things out. We know that she has keen intellectual penetration and perception. Additionally, I would say that Susan has mastered the long-lost ancient Asian art of watching without watching. And it is both the science and the art of managing and cultivating interpersonal relationship that I've been very impressed with. The medical school has made some initial strides in advancing ourselves. We sincerely thank you, Susan, for your leadership, without which none of our accomplishments would be possible. While you are without question a strong leader, I got to know you have a soft side and a real fun sense of humor. I recall at your suite watching a football game, at that game it happened, our team was at a low. You thought that perhaps I can practice effective medical therapy or psychotherapy on the players to somehow get them to perform better. Of course, a medical pill was not in the offering. We all remember the fun moments from Korean barbecue to the 3 dinner receptions at the Scarborough House over the long Memorial Day weekend in 2017, when social fun was mixed with drinks and catch-up of personal and family affairs. In closing, Susan, we thank you for your leadership, for the lighter, enjoyable many of those moments, and for the learning opportunities. You have been a great president, and your legacy will live on.
Thank you, Dean Liang, and I would ask Dean Garden to come up for the School of Dental Medicine. Thank you.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests and President Herbst. The School of Dental Medicine has benefited greatly from your initiatives. Under your leadership, we've enjoyed renovated learning spaces, state-of-the-art research labs, dental clinics, and also technology. And all due to your strong support of Connecticut Bioscience, or Bioscience Connecticut. Excuse me, just a second. So for example, one of those initiatives is the Trans-School Initiative of the Department of Biomedical Engineering, which is a visionary endeavor that has the potential for improving interdisciplinary research that leads to health. I especially want to thank you for appointing me as the first woman dean of the School of Dental Medicine. And I thank you very much for that opportunity. And I thank you for your leadership on behalf of the School of Dental Medicine as well as myself. So thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so before I go to our guests from the state capitol, I also want to recognize some of our trustees and board of directors members that are here that have served in those capacities, Fran Archibald and Rick Carberry. And do we have any others from either board of directors or board of trustees? No, but these are, thank you so much for coming. Thank you. So I'd like to now recognize a great friend of UConn Health, Senator Kevin Witkos. He is currently serving as the second highest ranking Republican leader in the state Senate and represents several towns, including, make sure I get these right, Avon, Barkhamsted, Canton, Colebrook, Granby, Heartland, Harwinton, New Hartford, Norfolk, Simsbury, and Torrington. But he's been someone that has just been such a wonderful supporter of UConn Health, and we thank you for coming, and we'd love you to say a few words.
Thank you, Andy. Yeah. Thank you all. It meant a lot to come today because, and I wouldn't do it for normally anybody else, but Captain Herbst, I cut my beach vacation short to come today because you're so deserving. And I say Captain Herbst in tongue-in-cheek because we always talk about the University of Connecticut being our flagship university, and UConn Health being the only state hospital in the state of Connecticut. And I think it's so important that we found the right leader to lead both institutions at a time that was so desperately needed. And Susan, I'd say that your leadership is unprecedented in the things that you were able to do and accomplish. And a few of those things, from the Energy Park to the Technology Center to the STEM research to the facilities here, bringing Jackson Labs, the incubator spaces, hiring some of the best and brightest faculty, some of the best student minds that have come to UConn from all over the globe, waiting lists for students to get in here because they want to come to UConn. People want to come to Connecticut, and I think that is a showcase that we in the legislature need to share with all of our counterparts to say, UConn is where it's at, whether you're at the health center or at any of the STORS campuses. So I wanted to say to you, Susan, as you sail off into the sunset, but not too far away, down to the city of Stamford, I wish you the best of luck and thank you for doing all that you've done before in the past.
Thank you, Senator. Our next speaker, Senator Tony Hwang, is the ranking member of the legislature's Higher Education Committee and co-chair of the Bioscience Caucus. He's also a great supporter, and one thing I always really like about him, he's always smiling, always happy, regardless of what happens. So I want to... but Senator Tony Hwang is serving his third term representing Connecticut's 28th senatorial district, which includes the towns of Easton, Fairfield, Newtown, Weston, and Westport. Thank you so much for coming, and you can say a few words. Thank you, sir.
It's very easy to be happy to hear. The desserts are fabulous, and we can't have an opportunity to honor such a wonderful person because she's smiling all the time as well. You know, as a legislator representing Southwestern Connecticut, it's important for UConn to know how important of a role that you play throughout the entire state. UConn Nation has tremendous alumni. It has tremendous supporters and advocates. And most important of all, we always need to remember, it is Connecticut State University. And Dr. Herbst's vision was to create a world-class academic, research, and nurturing environment so that we can compete at the highest level, not only in the state, but throughout this entire country and world. And I will share that it's been a difficult road. Our state budget has created a bit of challenge for us to reach these roles, but through Dr. Herbst's tremendous staff interacting with the legislature, there has been a balance and goals reached. And it is no small part due to what the chairman of the board, Mr. Cloud, said. She is tenacious, and she represents what is in the best interest of UConn. And so for me, it's an incredible privilege to be here, but also to remind people, this is not simply about Storrs and UConn Health Center and the law school in West Hartford. It is Connecticut State University, and you have made it a tremendous source of pride. And as we're sitting here at the medical school as well as the dental school, I can share with you, in my district, there are numbers of students that have benefited from the state university system in medicine and dental that has been a tremendous boon. They could have gone anywhere else in this country, but they chose to come back to UConn, and that matters. So, look, at the end of the day, as much as we may have challenges and differences of opinion, there is a common goal. UConn is our state university, and we have a responsibility to put a shining light and do everything we can to support its mission and goal, and that is all about Connecticut. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator. Our next speaker is State Representative Dr. Pettit, who is one of us in terms of medical professional, representing Plainville and parts of New Britain. He is the ranking member of the Public Health Committee and a strong supporter of UConn and UConn Health. Thank you so much for coming, and please say a few words. Thank you.
Well, most of it's been said, so I always usually start out with the FDR quote: "Be on time, be brief, and be seated." So I will try to be brief. I think Chairman Cloud talked about a long 8 years, and indeed, I'm sure it seemed like that sometimes. I was on appropriations the last 3 years, and Madam President was grilled for a number of hours in front of appropriations. But to that point, she held her ground and always advocated strongly for the undergraduate university and the professional schools, always carrying the interests of education and the students to the forefront. And I appreciate that. Appreciate the fact that she was always well prepared, typically answered 98% of the questions herself as opposed to relying on other people. We see a lot of people testifying, and there's varying degrees of preparation, and Madam President was always very well prepared. So I definitely appreciated that. and I agree with the comments that were made about the focus on the surrounding bioscience and biotechnology, the relationship with Jackson Lab, the new facilities that are here. That's been fabulous, I believe, for Connecticut, and especially for this central Connecticut area. But I think what I would just focus on is just a couple of personal things. We spent a fair amount of time together five years ago at the Final Four in Dallas, and the most fun part was that my brother and I meandered over to Dealey Plaza, and we met Madam President and her husband, and we spent just a fabulous, 2 or 3 hours in talking history and social change, and just she was just fabulous to be around. It was great to my brother and I, and it was great to I think I knew a little more biochemistry and diabetes than she did, but she knew a lot more history and social science than I did. So it was a good combination, just talking about how things had evolved in this nation since the assassination of President Kennedy, and that I just really enjoyed that experience with you. And secondly, the other time I see her on the hot seat at the Capitol, then I see her on the warm seat up at Gample most of the time, because my seat's here and her seat's over here. I haven't been a season ticket holder for about 30 years. It takes a long time to get close to the president. And actually, we should be. Her husband watches most of the games by himself. Madam President's typically on the end, and there's a continuing, I'm about 4 rows back, so there's a continuing line of people who are probably either trying to say hi or asking for a favor or something else. I assume she's actually attempting to watch the game. I think she's seen maybe 3 or 4 minutes of every game over the past 8 years, with the stream of people that are always at her seat wanting to speak with her. Your husband sees most of it. Because he's usually left to his own devices. But you're always smiling, and you're always gracious, and you speak to everybody that comes up, even though you probably only get about three minutes a game where actually you and your husband can converse with one another without people being there. But and I think just that speaks volumes as a person. You're accessible. You don't go hide. You're not hiding in the back. You're not taking off. You're not surrounded by other people. You're on the end of the row, and you're talking to everybody that comes by about whatever topic. I'm not listening in, but I assume some people are probably trying to get their kids into school, and some people are. And I see Bruce is back there. We're sort of the same age. Bruce, we couldn't get into UConn now. 40 years ago, when you were a little kid, they said to me, you got a great list of schools here. Put UConn on there because you need a safety school that you can get into. And nowadays, I don't think we'd make the cut. It's become so competitive. So thank God we got in years ago when we did. But it's really been fabulous getting to know you. I think it's also wonderful that you're going to go back to academia and some scholarship. I think your experience over the last 8 years will bring an interesting perspective to the courses that you teach. And I appreciate everything you've done. Your steadfastness in the way you've stood up for the students, and I've appreciated getting to know you. So congratulations as you move forward in life.
Thank you, Representative. Thank you. So our next speaker, I guess our last speaker, will be Susan, but before she comes up, I want to say just a couple of personal comments, very brief. I'm really grieving personally. I really am, because I'm going to miss working for you, Susan, working with you and for you. I remember when I first met Susan and I got to know her a little bit. Many of you may know that I first arrived here 5.5, 6 years ago as a consultant. And so I got to know her a little bit during the transition between that and my current role. But when I first met Susan and I got to know her, I drove home and my wife Elizabeth asked me, what's she like? What's the president like? And I said, I think Susan is a special person and someone that I would really like to work for. And I really mean that. And as I've come to know her even better, I've come to like her even more. In fact, she embodies all the attributes that I can only hope that my 2 teenage daughters will have when they grow up, and they're close to that. She's extremely smart, not just in a researcher sense, but in a world sense. She's tough, and we've said that she is tough. I mean, you do not want to, this is a tough person, all right? She's very direct. She's quick to call, excuse my language, BS. She's quick to call it. If it's there, she will call you on it immediately. She's confident. I mean, this is someone who is confident in herself. But she's also really kind. She's a really kind person, which means a lot to me personally. As a pediatrician, I'm someone that kindness, I really look for it in people and leaders. And she has a great sense of humor. I remember once when, and I don't think she remembers this, but I was telling her about the new hazardous waste building that we built, several $1 million that we built that far, and I was explaining to her why it's so essential because, we have our, within regulations, our hazardous waste process, but we're having to sort of do workarounds to make sure that we're able to comply with all the regulations, and we really need a separate building. So she said workarounds, and then she looked at me with a straight face. You guys put it in the pond, don't you? the pond out there. And that I laughed all the way home. But she just has a great sense of humor. And one of the things I said that she's a special person. An example of that, it's easy to say, but an example of that is Susan's your last day is August 1st, is it? July 30th. July 31st. She has worked every single day and every single hour as if she's not going anywhere. I mean, with the same level of intensity, she's been helping us with things. I mean, we still call her. We call her, if I had an issue right now, I'd call her right now and say, and she would put the same amount of focus and energy as if that she did 5 years ago when I first met her. And yet she's leaving, at the end of this month. And that's that's just one example of why she's such a special person. 99% of people would be saying, well, let's leave that till the next person comes in, or let's do this, or let's do that. But she has taken so much responsibility for UConn Health and for the University of Connecticut that until the day she walks out the door, and probably after that too, she's going to be as focused as she was on day number 1. And that's just one little example of how special she is. On behalf of UConn Health, she has been critical to the success and transformation of UConn Health. That's what this event is really all about, is thanking her on behalf of all of us, the whole UConn Health family. Bioscience Connecticut, Epic, we wouldn't have a cutting-edge electronic medical record that's on par with anyone in the country and allows us to share thousands of records back and forth from Hartford and St. Francis if it wasn't for Susan. It wasn't just about saying yes, it was about finding an additional $40 million to complement what this legislature got for us and what we were able to find internally. Budgets, she's out there fighting for us, for the university every time. And One UConn, bringing the campuses together and saying, look, we're stronger together, and really making that a reality. So I want to thank you, Susan. It's not farewell from me because we're going to stay in touch, but thank you for all you've done, and you're a great person. Thank you. All right.
Thanks so much, Andy, Sandy, Fran, thanks for being here. Rick, very grateful. So I've given a lot of speeches here at UConn and sent so much mail. I've been in so many meetings that I think you've heard me, I've worn you out. So I'll be brief, and let me just express my pride and my gratitude for all that is UConn Health. So the last 8 years really saw the transformation of this campus. We're so grateful to the state. Governor Malloy was your champion. He supported so many of our goals and our dreams. He always called it as he saw it, and we toured him around here. It was the spring of 2011, and he said something to the effect of, and I'll be family friendly, this hospital looks like crap. We need to bring UConn into the 21st century, and he had, as in all things, an unbelievable work ethic, sense of urgency that served us so well. here at UConn Health. Of course, the governor doesn't act alone, so this is a great moment to thank our legislature as well for protecting us, for helping us grow UConn Health. I'm grateful for the key champions that we have here. Senator Whitgos, you are a smart, amazing advocate for us. You deserve a special award for patience. You know, I know that we can be melodramatic, but we love this place, and you're very forgiving, and we're so appreciative of that. Representative Pettit, I was going to mention the JFK assassination site, but I thought it would be a downer, but thanks for doing But we did. We had a great time that day and got to know you and how intellectual you are and how fun you are, as well as your brother. So thanks in addition to being our great advocate at the legislature. Senator Huang, you're also just a ray of sunshine in the depths of winter in the LOB, and we need that. And we go to you because we know you're going to make us happy and feel good about the state that we've landed in that we love so much. So thanks for your support, your wisdom, and your senses of humor, which are precious to us. So let's talk about patience. I've been a regular and loyal customer here. You are so great at protecting privacy for everybody, including the president, to the point where Andy and Bruce never know when I'm in the emergency room, which is, it's happened several times. And I wonder why they didn't come by. The president's in the emergency room, and it's because you're so good about HIPAA. But the truth is I never really cared that much about privacy. You didn't care at all, because whenever I got treated, I'd go out and brag about the unbelievably kind and skilled folks that we have here. I think I've sampled most all the specialties, except psychiatry, which, university presidents should probably be signed up for in the beginning, but so let me thank a few more folks, and then we go back to the party. Andy and Bruce have been my partners in so much of what we've done here. They've seen our highs and our lows. They both serve this place with every fiber of their being. They're always here. They're always ready to drop anything, to go to the legislature, solve a problem, give me advice. Kiki Nissen, she's here somewhere. A terrific administrator, leader. All of you know her. She's also my friend and my doctor. She saved me and my sanity, such as it is, many times, and I'm lucky to have her in my life. Joanne Lombardo, Andrea Kilty, Gail Garber, those are three ladies you don't see that much because they're down at the Capitol advocating for this place. And I don't know how they do it, but they protect the institution, and it's a real marvel. Dr. Onayunki, Dr. Moss, Laura Barbera. You guys are awesome. Thanks for rebuilding my neck. For excellent low-profile scars. Well, this one, maybe not the other one yet. And thanks so much for your support. You're great doctors. You're great people. Dr. Lafreniere, Dr. Burke, Dr. Gershon, Dr. Albertson, Dr. Lax, Dr. Walensky. I've seen all these people and more. Sorry if I'm leaving anybody out. Many thanks for getting me poked and prodded and x-rayed and scanned and fixed up so I could do my job. Thanks to so many receptionists, nurses who treat our patients with so much dignity and respect. Not everybody around here knows I'm the president, and so I try to dress down too when I'm a patient. So I've spent plenty of time in clinics, in waiting rooms, and I see how much you care, no matter who the patient is. This is precious, given that patients are stressed, they're anxious, and they really need kindness. So when you live in stores most of the time, there's not a lot of medical services. And so we built our UConn Health outpost there, and it's just been completely transformative for a college town. We're overloaded with patients out there, and if we find the money, we could really greatly expand to serve much more of Eastern Connecticut. So because of my crazy schedule, I have two internists. I have Kiki here, and I have Dr. Pam Moore, who's out at UConn Health, who supported me these 8 years, and my family. Excellent care. Her friendship, her leadership of the group in stores is absolutely outstanding. Everybody in stores knows she's the bedrock of medicine out there, and it matters immensely. The same with our Naden Clinic, and outstanding physical therapy from our leader, Jeremy Vignot, and his colleagues out there. So finally, one of the folks who cares most about UConn Health is Sandy Cloud, who you heard from first. He's who we turn to for support and advice. Been through a lot together. He's a tremendous unsung hero for this part of UConn, half the university. So if you don't know that already, I'm happy to underscore it. He has always supported me personally. When I said I was going and had to call all the trustees, you're the one that made me cry. You really did. No matter what I've needed or how dark the moment, Sandy was there for him. I love him for his wisdom, his loyalty, his dedication to UConn Health and to the university. So thanks, everybody.